Hello, I'm Kev Hopayan, a family doctor in Suffolk, England, and professor at the Department of Primary Care and Population Health at the University of Nicosia in Cyprus. I've prepared this presentation to explain how the COVID-19 virus acts and how it causes illness. There is a lot of good advice already on the web on how to avoid catching and spreading the disease. I will not be repeating that here. Let me introduce you to the virus. Its official name is SARS-CoV-2. Now, this is the best drawing I can prepare for a presentation. The virus actually looks like this under the electron microscope. The virus is so small that you could lay 1.5 million particles along the length of a normal 12-inch ruler. So let's return to the diagram. The virus has an inner core which houses the RNA. The RNA is its genetic material, rather like you and I have DNA. Around the core there is a protective envelope, attached to which are spikes made of protein. We will discover in a little while what those spikes do. Together, the core and the envelope make up a complete virus body, or virion to give it its proper name. A virus cannot breed, or to use the technical phrase, replicate by itself. This is what makes it different to animals, plants, bacteria and fungi. It has to hijack a living thing in order to replicate. To understand how, let us take a look at the building block of the bodies of living things. Our building blocks are cells which have an outer cell membrane. Inside are the nucleus, which houses our DNA, and several structures, some of which are responsible for turning the code of the DNA into such things as the proteins and enzymes that the body needs. A virus starts by attaching itself onto the cell membrane. The spike proteins play an essential role in that they hoodwink the cell membrane into letting the virus get inside. Once inside the cell, the outer part of the virus breaks open, releasing the RNA. This sets off a series of actions, but to cut a long story short, let's say that the RNA hijacks the cell into working on behalf of the virus. The structures we mentioned that produce such things as proteins and enzymes now change their work to produce more RNA. Not just once, but several times. The structures also produce the proteins and that are needed for the outer coating of the virus, so that a whole new virus body is produced. In fact, several virus bodies are produced. The viruses then destroy the cell membrane, releasing themselves to go on and infect many other cells, killing the original cell in the process. Now let's turn to how this causes disease. SARS-CoV-2 is a respiratory virus, respiratory meaning to do with the breathing system. Here is a diagram of what is called the respiratory tract, or tree. Imagine you could see inside a person's chest. The diagram shows the left and right lungs. The respiratory tract starts at the top with the nose, mouth and throat. These lead to the windpipe, or trachea, which carries air down to some branching airways known as bronchi. Air transfers from the trachea through the bronchi to end up in sacs called alveoli. Alveoli are where the job of the lungs is done, that is, to take in oxygen and to get rid of waste carbon dioxide. Let's imagine a virus in the air. Our diagrammatic human breathes it in. The virus lodges in the nose or throat and causes infection. Our body has a defense against the virus. It's called the immune system. At this stage, the immune system may fight off the virus, but the person may suffer symptoms such as a fever, cough, sore throat, runny nose, general aches and pains. You may recognize these symptoms as being those of the flu. Some people will have no symptoms at all. This may surprise you, but that does happen with many infections. Sometimes the virus will not stop there. It will travel down the respiratory tract, even as far as the alveoli. This causes a condition called pneumonia. The immune system will send in fighter cells, antibodies and fluid to kill the virus. This mixture of infected cells and the immune response to infection stops the lungs from doing what they should be, namely exchanging oxygen and carbon dioxide. The sufferer will have a fever, cough, will feel very ill, have shortness of breath, and may feel some chest pain. Recovery is possible at this stage, but there is also the risk of death. It all depends on who wins the battle, the virus or the immune system. Sometimes the disease can go further. Continuing cell injury and damage to surfactant, which is a chemical that gives the lungs their elasticity, causes a condition called severe acute respiratory syndrome, or SARS. It is at this point that the patient will need a ventilator. The ventilator makes the lungs fill up at pressure, overcoming that loss in elasticity. Sometimes the immune system goes into overdrive. It goes too far, and it creates such a strong reaction that many parts of the body grind to a halt, a condition called sepsis. Now, most people do not go that far. Like I said, there may be a few that have no symptoms at all, but most will have a symptom that stays in the upper respiratory tract, causing a flu-like illness. Only a minority will get pneumonia, and even fewer will get SARS or sepsis. What makes SARS and COVID-19 different to the flu is this. These complications of pneumonia, SARS and sepsis are much, much more common. COVID-19 is not a simple flu. You will probably have heard that some people do worse with COVID-19 than others, for example, the elderly. This means that if they catch the virus, they are more likely, or, put it another way, have a higher chance of getting the serious forms of the disease we have just heard about. It does not mean that the young have no chance of getting seriously ill. It is all a question of relative risk or relative chance. The groups relatively at high risk are many. I will not repeat the list, which appears in many places on the web already, but the important message to take home is that everyone is at risk. Thank you for paying attention so far. In future presentations, we will look at what can be done to prevent catching the disease and spreading the disease, and why these actions are effective. I would like to thank and give credit to the kind folk who have uploaded images that have made this presentation possible. Thank you.